Well, Fools for Christ. What a title. The world, let's be honest, the world thinks that what we believe is fanciful. Some people think we believe in myths and fairy tales. Some believe we're just a bit silly or a bit dumb. It's very hard for people to accept that we want to believe in something that's so prescriptive and ultimately is about putting our trust in a God that we can't touch, see, feel, which is the gods of this world. The gods of this world are things that we touch, smell, hear, know, sport, shopping, money, sex, food. There is tons of gods in this world, and I call them gods because that's what they are. I mean, the correct word in the Bible is probably idols, but anything we idolize, which is where the term comes from, anything we idolize is actually become a god in our lives and in our society. And so our society is full of gods. We just don't call them that. And it's not to say that sport is bad, or the shopping's bad, or the money's bad. That's not what it means. It's the worship of it that's bad. So, you can do all those things. I know I do. I shop. I do sport. I participate in all sorts of pleasurable activities. None of them are my God, though, and I don't worship them. But if they're something that you put above God, then they are idols. And that's the fact. So, for us to put God first in our lives, to love the Lord our God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love our neighbour as ourselves, is foolishness to those in the world. And, 1 Corinthians 1:18, Paul says that the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. But to those being saved, it's the very power of God. And that's you and me. I get it. Look, there's a price to be paid for these kinds of beliefs. And it is tempting to be a secret Christian, and no pressure from me, no judgment from me. I actually think that when we come to understand what a privilege it is to be a follower of Christ, what an absolute privilege it is to be able to stand up and actually declare who we are. And if we do face any kind of persecution, excuse me, be careful with that word because, a lot of Christians will talk about being persecuted just because they get a hard time. Being persecuted for your faith is far more serious than that. It's actually, things like losing your job because of it, losing a relationship because of it, being punished physically, whether it's jail or killed or anything like that. That's persecution. What we more face is just a subtle form of social, so our standing and social status goes down. That's not persecution. That's just, the way society works. We prioritize and create social structures, and we do prioritize those that subscribe to beliefs that are more socially acceptable and those that don't get put down the list. So that's not persecution. That's just the way society works. However, I know that, when we're openly Christian, we are going to be judged. I think you have to expect that. But let's face it, human beings judge about everything. I judge people. I don't mean to. I'm not a bad person, but you can't help it. I subtly judge people for all sorts of things. When I'm driving in the car and someone cuts me off on the road, I judge them as bad drivers. If I go to the bakery and my coffee's no good, well, I judge the barista for not making me good enough coffee. So let's be honest. Come on, we do judge, and the difference is that there's a component of judgment that can be condemnation. Now that's the problem. So judgment with condemnation is what we're told not to do. We're called not to judge one another, and that's not for how good we are as a barista or how good we are at playing soccer. That's not to judge each other with condemnation. Now, will we face condemnation? Judgment with condemnation from some people for following Christ? Yes, we will. But as I said, it's a privilege. Christ himself suffered for us, died on the cross for us. What a privilege to face any kind of suffering, any kind of hardship, any kind of judgment, any kind of condemnation for believing in Christ, for standing up for Christ. What a privilege, and in Scriptures it talks about the crowns of life, the crowns of heaven. And, one of the crowns of heaven will be for those who face these kinds of judgments, persecutions,